Welcome back. We're going to proceed and do problem number 10. Problem number 10 is 5x plus 10 over z squared minus 4. I'm sorry, is 5z. Alright, first thing I notice is that one number can go into 5 and 10. The answer is 5, so that means inside the parentheses I'm going to have z plus 2. Underneath, I make sure that I'm going to add a 0z. So that means this becomes z squared plus 0z minus 4. And basically, what numbers give me 4? Numbers are 1 and 4. 2 and 2. So I'm going to come over here and write z plus 4, z minus 4. Okay, I'm sorry. It's going to be z plus 2 and z minus 2. Okay, because 2 and 2 gives me a 0, and that's what I'm going to get my factors. Okay, now that I have factored the top and the bottom, now I look for something that I can cancel, and I can cancel z plus 2. So that means this is 5 over z minus 2. And the domain is going to be z belongs to all real numbers, such as that z must be different than, and I'm going to look at my denominator in its factor form, so z plus 2 and z minus 2 must be different than 0, so z minus 2 must be different than 0, z is different than positive 2. Here I'm going to have z plus 2 must be different than 0, and then z is different than negative 2. That's my answer, that's my answer. So I'll come here to my domain and I write z different than positive and negative 2. So that concludes problem number 10. Okay. Alright, so let's go ahead and proceed and do problem number 11. Problem number 11 is 3 minus x over x squared minus 9. Okay, first thing I notice is that I can put a 0x right there, so this becomes x squared plus 0x minus 9. So that means I can factor. And what numbers give me 9? 1 and 9, 3 and 3. So this would be x3 and x3. One is going to be positive, one is going to be negative. On the top, I noticed that these numbers are out of order, so I'm going to put them in order. So this becomes negative x plus 3. Still, there's something not right, and that something is the negative there. So to fix that, I'm going to factor negative 1, and a negative x divided by negative 1 becomes a positive. Positive 3 divided by negative 1 becomes a negative 3. And then I still have x minus 3, x plus 3. Now I'm going to cancel. These two cancel. I'm left with negative 1 over x plus 3. So that's my answer for this one. And don't forget, you need to do your domain. And you look at the denominator in its factor form. So it'll be x minus 3 and x plus 3 must be different than 0. So that will be x minus 3 different than 0 and x plus 3 different than 0. So if we get the x along here, this will be x different than 3, and here will be x different than negative 3. So my domain is x belongs to all real numbers such that x is different than 3 and x different than -3. Okay, so that's my domain. Alright, let's go ahead and do problem number 12 now. Problem number 12 is 4a over 5 times 3 and b squared. First thing I ask is, can I factor anything? And the answer is no. These are all monomials, like a single term. Okay, there's anything I can cancel? No. So let's go ahead and multiply top with top. So it'll be 4 times 3 is 12a, and 5 times b would be 5b squared. So that's my answer for number 12. Alright, let's go ahead and do number 13. Number 13 is -3x to the 4th divided by y squared times 2y to the 3rd over 9y to the 4th. Again, I ask, can I factor anything? No. Can I cancel anything? Yes, the 3 can cancel and the 9 can cancel, because 3 goes into -3 1 time, and 3 goes into 9 3 times. In other words, 9 divided by 3 is 3, -3 divided by 3 is -1. Okay, so now I'm going to multiply the numbers, which is -1 times 2 gives me -2. I have an x to the 4th, y to the 3rd. On the bottom I have a 3, and I also have y to the 2nd, y to the 4th, and when I multiply this, I need to add the exponent, so it'll be y to the 6. Now that I have that, I notice that I have y's on top and the bottom, so I can cancel those by the properties of exponents that says that if I'm dividing, what do I do with the exponents? I subtract them, and since 6 is bigger than 3, that means the y is going to stay on the bottom, and 6 minus 3 is 3. So that's going to be my answer for this problem. Alright, let's go and proceed and do number 14. Alright, problem number 14 is x squared minus x over 5x times 15 over x squared minus 1. Alright, first thing I ask is, can I factor anybody? Well, let's see the top. The top I can factor an x, so this would be x minus 1. On the bottom, there's nothing I can factor, so I just copy 5x. On the top, I just copy 15. And on the bottom, make sure I add a 0x, so this becomes x squared plus 0x minus 1. So, what are the numbers that give me 1? And it's 1 and 1. So this would be positive and negative. Alright, now I'm ready to cancel. See, I factored top and bottom. Now I'm ready to cancel, and I notice that this cancels. I also notice that 5 goes into 5 one time, 5 goes into 15 3 times. And I also have an x here that can cancel with this x. So now that I cancel everybody possible, I check it on the top, and anything that is not canceled I'm going to write, and the thing that is not canceled is the 3. And on the bottom I have a 1, which I don't have to write, and the x plus 1. So it will be x plus 1. So that would be my answer. Let's double check if we got it right. Everything looks good. So let's go ahead and proceed. Okay, let's do problem number 15 now. Whoops. So there's problem number 15. And problem number 15 says 6 minus 3x over 6x plus 6x squared times 3x squared minus 2x minus 5 over x squared minus 4. Okay, first thing I notice in this problem is that these numbers are out of order, so I'm going to switch them positions. This would be negative 3x plus 6. And I notice also that this number here, I don't like the negative there, so I'm going to factor the negative. And also, can I factor anything from these two? The answer yes, it's negative 3. So when I factor negative 3, I'm going to get x minus 2. On the bottom, I notice that 6x in 6x squared is out of order, so I'm going to write 6x squared plus 6x. And ask myself, what can I factor from these? I can factor out a 6x. So this would be x plus 1. Okay. Now, on this one right here, because this is not a 1, I need to come to the side of my paper and multiply 3 times 5, which is 15. One numbers give me 15. 1 and 15. 3 and 5. And when I look at that, one number is going to give me a 2. The answer is 3 and 2. So I'm going to come here to the side of my paper and I'm going to copy the first term. And instead of writing negative 2, I'm going to write the numbers that I chose, which is 3x and 5x. And this would be minus 5. So I'm going ahead and use negative for 5 because the biggest digits have the same sign as the middle term, and this would be a positive. Now I'm going to factor by grouping, so I'm going to group in 2's. And what number can I factor from both? This would be 3x, so this would be x plus 1. And what can I factor from this guy? Negative 5, so this would be x plus 1. At this stage, and I'm ready to come back to this problem here, so bring this in here, and I'm going to open 2 sets of parentheses, and basically, what do they have in common? X plus 1. And when I take those out, what is left? If I remove them, then this would be 3x minus 5. So it would be 3x minus 5. Over here, I notice that I can add a 0x. So this becomes x squared plus 0x minus 4. And I ask myself, what are the two numbers that are going to give me 4? And also a 0. So the answer is 2. So this would be positive 2 minus 2. Okay, what I accomplished so far is I have factor the top, factor the bottom, factor the top, factor the bottom. And now I'm ready to cancel. And if I notice, I can cancel these two. I can cancel the x plus 1. And I can cancel the negative 3 and 6. Because this becomes negative 1. This becomes a 2. And I believe that's it that we can cancel. So that means our final answer is going to be on the top. I have left negative 1, 3x minus 5 over 2 x minus 2. And that's my answer. Okay, so now I'm going to draw a line right there. Okay, and now we're going to do problem number 16. Alright, problem number 16. Problem number 16 will be 4x plus 8 over 14x minus 7x squared times 3x squared minus 5x minus 2 over 9x squared minus 1. Alright. First thing I notice is the top number. What can I factor from these? The answer is 4. So that means if I divide each term by 4, 4x divided by 4 is x, and 8 divided by 4 is a 2. Okay, and on the bottom one, I noticed that they are kind of out of order, so I'm going to put negative 7x squared in the front plus 14x on the back. Now I ask myself, what can I factor? I can factor a negative 7, so that means I'm going to get, and also can factor out an x because they both have x's, so it'll be negative 7x, and inside the parentheses is going to be x minus 2 times. Alright, on the top one here, I'm going to do the same thing as the problem before. I'm going to go here on the side and multiply 3 times 2 equals 6. Two numbers give me 6 is 1 and 6, 2 and 3. Out of those two, which one gives me 5? They both give me 5. So let's use the sign. So this would be a negative and a negative, and this would be a negative and a positive. But I want a negative 2, so a negative times a negative does not give me a positive. So that's not it. A negative times a positive gives me a negative, so I know it's 1 and 6. So now that I know my numbers, I'm going to use the first number. Instead of you writing negative 5, I'm going to write positive 1x minus 6x and copy the last term, which is negative 2. Now I'm going to factor by grouping. So what goes into those two is an x. So this would be 3x plus 1. And what can I factor here? It would be a negative 2. So this becomes 3x plus 1. So I'm ready to come back to my problem here and put my information. Okay, my information will be 3x plus 1 and x minus 2. Alright, we're getting closer to the answer. Now all we have to do is finish this guy up, and this guy we need to add a 0x, so this would be 9x squared plus 0x minus 1. Okay, 9 times 1 is 9, so what numbers give me 9? 1 and 9, 3 and 3. Again, I'm going to bring this information over here because there's not enough space. So I'm going to copy the first term. And which one is going to give me the 0x? Well, 3 and 3. So it'll be positive 3x minus 3x minus 1. Now, I want to group it. So what number goes into 9x squared and 3x? Well, the answer is 3x. So that means this will be 3x plus 1, the minus negative, and I can factor a 1, so this would be 3x plus 1. Alright, I'm ready to come back to my problem here, and I notice, what does it repeat over here? Well, the 3x plus 1 repeats, and after if I remove these two, 3x plus 1, what I'm left with? I'm left with 3x minus 1, so I'm going to write that down. Alright, so now I'm ready to start canceling. If I notice, I can cancel the x minus 2 with the x minus 2. I can cancel the 3x plus 1 with 3x plus 1. And that's it. So that means my answer will be, on top will be 4 and x plus 2. And on the bottom, we'll have the negative 7, 3x minus 1. And that is my answer. And let me double check. Number 16 is correct. Okay, we're going to do problem number 17 now. Problem number 17 is 35x minus 7x squared over x squared minus 25 multiplied by x squared plus 3x minus 10 x squared plus 4x. Okay, In solving these problems, the first thing I noticed that this is out of order, so I'm going to write over here in order, which would be negative 7x squared plus 35x. Okay, so I just switched them places. And now I ask myself, what can I factor from both? Well, I can factor a negative 7x. So that means this will become x plus, not plus, but negative 5. Okay. Alright. On the bottom here, I'm going to add a 0x right there. So this becomes x squared plus 0x minus 25. And that means I can factor this as x plus 5, x minus 5 times here I have a 10. So what numbers give me 10? It would be 1 and 10, 2 and 5, and that's it. So what numbers give me the 3? Well, 2 and 5. So it would be x2, x5. So this would be a positive and this would be a negative. And on the bottom here, I can factor out an x from both of them, so this would be x plus 4. Alright, now it's time to cancel, and I see that I can cancel the x minus 5, I can cancel the x plus 5, and I can cancel the x. So I'm left with negative 7 on top, x minus 2, and on the bottom I'll have x plus 4. And that's my answer. So let me check. Number 17 is correct. Let's go ahead and do number 18. Number 18 is 4x minus 24 over 20x times 5 over 6 minus x. Sorry, did you notice it was not showing on the screen? But now it is. Okay. Now, first thing we do is ask, what can we factor from the top? We can factor a 4, so this would be x minus 6. On the bottom, there's nothing I can factor, so I just copy. The next one, what can I factor from the top? Nothing, so just write it down. And on the bottom, they're kind of out of order, so I'm going to write negative x plus 6, so just switch places. But also, still I have a negative in front, so how can I fix that? I put a negative 1, and then negative x divided by negative 1 is x, and 6 divided by negative 1 becomes a negative 6. Alright, now I can cancel, and I notice that x minus 6 cancel with x minus 6, and the 4 cancel with the 20. 4 goes into 4 once, 4 goes into 20 5 times, and I notice also I can cancel the 5 with the 5, because 5 goes into 5, 5 goes into 5. So on the top I have a 1, on the bottom I have an x, and also have a negative 1, so it becomes negative x, and so that means this is negative 1 over x. That's your answer. Alright, very well. Let's do number 19. Number 19 is 5a cubed b squared over 24 divided by 10a to the 5th divided by 6. So now I'm asking myself, division of fractions. What do? Copy the first term and check if you can simplify or cancel anybody. No, we can't, so just copy literally and change the division sign to times and flip the second term, which will become 6 over 10a to the 5th. Now let's see if anybody cancels. I notice that 5 cancels with the 10, so 5 goes into 5 once, 5 goes into 10 two times. Also 6 cancels with 24. 6 goes into 6 one time, 6 goes into 24 4 times. Now the best thing to do next is just multiply the top. So 1 times 1 is 1, a cubed, b squared. On the bottom I have 4 times 2 is 8, and I have a to the 5th. Then once you have done that, then you just do the division of the letters. So since a to the 5th is bigger, a is going to stay on the bottom, and 5 minus 3 is 2, and on top I just have b squared. So that's my answer. Okay, let's go ahead and proceed to problem number 20. Let's see if we can do it here on this space here. We probably can. Let's see. Problem number 20 is 10x minus 2 over x squared minus 9 divided by 5x squared minus x over x plus 3. Alright, the first thing I notice on the very top is that I can factor 2, so this is going to become 5x minus 1. Alright, also on the bottom I notice I can add a 0x, so this would be x squared plus 0x minus 9, so that means that will factor into x, and remember, what are the numbers that give me 9? 1 and 9, 3 and 3. Which one of these will give me the 0x that I'm looking for? Well, 3 and 3. What are the signs? Well, this is a positive, so you put a positive. Positive 3 minus 3 gives me the 0, so that's negative 3, positive 3. Okay, division of fractions. We change it to times. We flip the second term. So this is going to go to the top, and this is going to go to the bottom. But as I go to the bottom, I notice, hey, I can factor out an x. So I'm going to factor out an x. And if I factor out an x from these two terms, what I'm going to have left? 5x minus 1. Very well. Now I'm going to cancel. Who can I cancel? I can cancel the x plus 3. I can cancel the 5x minus 1. And I believe that's it. So on the top, I'm left with a 2. And on the bottom, I'm left with x minus 3. And I also left with an x right here. So that's going to be my final answer. So let's check if I did it correctly. And yes, this is correct. So great job. Alright.